Roll it up.
So one of the craziest things I also seen in San Quentin, because San Quentin was, out of all the prison, I would have to say the craziest, because everybody there was trying to live up to a rep of San Quentin, the infamous San Quentin. But when I got to San Quentin, I didn't know anything about gays or transsexuals, transvestites, nothing, none of that. And so when I first got to the yard, I see, look like females. I'm like, is this a co-ed yard? What's going on? You know what I mean? They're like, oh no, that's a dude. I'm like, a dude, titties like this and ass. God, what's going on around here? Because in Southern California, there wasn't none of that in the Southern California prisons. And so if it was rare. And so I was like thrown off. It was really like I was scared, of these people, and there was a lot of them, and so what happened was, like I say, I was naive to them, and I was the gang leader, so we prohibited any of our gang members to even associate with the transvestites, transsexuals. And so it came a time where I had to deal with them because they ran laundry, the store, and so I would have to talk to them because I would have to say at that time I was homophobic because I was ignorant to what they was about. What happened was, what gained my respect for just the human race, not only was they transsexual, transvestite, but they was human. But I'll never forget, it was a confrontation on the yard where two transsexuals was spatting over this dude who's supposed to be they lovers, whatever. And man, this transsexual came out with a knife this long. I'm not exaggerating nothing. And stabbed that other transsexual. I mean, it looked like it came out his other side, man. And right then and there, my respect for the human race was at its utmost. Because, I mean, this had titties like this, ass, looked like, I'm talking about a model in the face. It stabbed and killed this motherfucker. To a peasant, to a king. So I'm like, man, I might have to go get some money, you know what I mean? And at the time, I had a few associates that was doing robberies. And so I went to them, and I'm like, man, y'all doing any robberies, and soon? They're like, yeah, we going tomorrow night. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna come with y'all. Because they was hitting everything in Fresno and ended up doing time behind it eventually. But they called me the day before I was supposed to go with them and said, something came up, we're not gonna be able to do it. And so I'm already amped. I'm like, man, I'm already amped. I had a little pistol, and I was already in my all black. And I'm like, I gotta go do something. And so I ended up riding around Fresno. Actually, I was hoping nobody was out, because I'm the type person where I'm like a machine. I'm like a android, a robot. If I'm programmed, that's what I gotta do. Or I think, oh, you soft if you within myself. And so I was riding around. Finally, something came in me like, man, take your butt home. So I'm like, yeah, look, I'm going home. I ain't doing nothing stupid. So as I'm going home, the devil stood right there. He looked at me. He said, hey, man, turn to your left. Oh, my God. This man was at an ATM. You know, and like I say, I didn't watch a million of these type robberies, so I thought I'd do what I was doing. And so I'm like, man, I'm talking to myself too. I never forget. I say, why this man got to be outside at midnight? You know, and I'm like, as I'm talking, I'm busting a U-turn. And so I get out the car and run up to him and put the gun to his head and like, go ahead and get all the money out this ATM. And what's the number? What's the PIN number? And so he's shaking. He gave me all that. And so I run, get in the car. And it was meant for me to go to prison because it was just weird. You know, after I robbed him, I went and got in the car around the corner and left down the street. And he just so happened to see the license plate and call it in. After that, I didn't see the streets for 7 years. But the court process on that, it was shrewd. It was the worst experience I ever experienced in court because I experienced like 3 times after that. But what happened was, because I was 19 and going to college, a deal was on the table for a 2-year joint suspension. It was funny because I could have bailed out for $2,000 on my case. But my parents like, we go bail you out. I'm like, oh no, I'll stay in here. I'm all right. And then my time is going to be accounted for if I do get some time. Who does that? You know what I mean? Most people want to get out. When I went to preliminary hearing, all my fraternity brothers came. My mother, father drove in from Oakland. And it was, I never forget. That's why I say I've never been prejudiced, because this black young sister that was a district attorney, she came, oh, it's a deal on the table, 2-year joint suspension. I was like, hurry up, bring that paper. I signed it with the quickness, right? Because I was going to get out on probation. So everybody cheering in the crowd, yeah, he getting out, happy, right? So she looked around in the crowd. She said, let me check with the office with my superior. Let's take a recess. So she came back. We came back in like 2 hours. I already knew in my spirit that it was about to go bad. And so we came back to court after recess. She said, yeah, I made a mistake. We want to give him 5 years CYA, you know, youth authority, in 5 years. So everybody already in jail had already, you know, put it in my head that if I go to CYA, I ain't gonna get out for years after that 5 years, you know. And so I'm like, I ain't going no YA, right? And so I'm like, let's go to trial. So the judge, everybody came to me and like, you sure you want to go to trial? They tried to talk me into taking the 5 years, which at that time, and I didn't know, 85% had started the month I got my case. And so I didn't know that. And so they was acting like I was going to be able to do half of the 5 years, which would have been 2.5. But I had already been down at that time about 6 months. So I refused the deal, went to trial, lost. And it was a terrible experience, man. Especially, I always held a grudge against that district attorney because she was young, and it was like she was just smirking and giggling at me. So the guys in Southern California in prison, man, they was serious about fitness, bodybuilding, man. It was crazy. You know, you had guys that were in movies, that worked out with Arnold, Lou Ferrigno, that worked out at Venice Gold. And so they was serious. They knew all about training. So for me, I was 19 years old when I hit prison, and I was already buff. I looked like a competitive bodybuilder because I always knew how to train right and eat right. And so I just came in and gravitated towards the fitness world. And at that time, a lot of people didn't do legs. And so they like, oh, you're the youngster from Fresno State. Ooh, yeah, we want to work out with you. I'm like, hey, man. And this how I used to deter everybody from working out with me. I'm like, hey, man, I do legs twice a week. And so they like, oh, no, we cool. We don't mess with them legs. We don't need what we need big legs for. And we used to work out every day of the week, 7 days a week. No rest days. And so unless somebody got carpal tunnel or something in their wrist, are sick with valley fever or something. That's the only way we didn't train. And so I was used to that in Southern California, the fraternizing of fitness. So when I get to San Quentin, Northern California, I'm thinking the same thing. Man, I'm looking on the yard, there's hardly no, it's like every race but the black race was in the fitness. And this was odd to me because everywhere I had been in Southern California, which I had been to Wasco, Delano, Tehachapi, and everybody was serious about training. So when I got to San Quentin, everybody walking around kind of skinny. You only see a few, especially black people that's in shape, but I see every other race working out, training like crazy. So I'm like, what's going on around here? You know? And so when I come to find out, in Northern California, they was getting heroin, they was getting crack, you know, all these drugs that the Southern California guys didn't want no parts of. You know, the Southern California guys, when they came to jail, they used that as a rehabilitation to get they swole on, to get big and buff. You know, you had some guys in Northern California like that, but it was just a trend of drug users that was in Northern California. So me as a gang leader, you know, most of the gang members was drug addicts from the street. So this was tough on me because my gang, we had a hands-on policy. You know, if you didn't adhere to the rules, which working out was one of the laws to be in this gang, then we would beat you down, possibly stab you if you know, transgressed or if you tried to fight back. So it was tough for me, man, especially, you know, to see that and have to fight with guys to exercise, which exercising wasn't just to be buff. Exercising was to, in case you got in a riot, you had your wind, you had your cardiovascular, you had your strength. So it just wasn't for the vanity muscles development. It was for, you know, your body was your weapon in prison. So when I got close to my release date, they call it short time fever. And I didn't know what they was talking about. I had friends that got out before me, and right before they go home, they would do something stupid. You know, they'd get in a fight, playing basketball, they'd get in a fight on the basketball court, or just stupid. I mean, nothing they did their whole time they would do and go to the hole, lose time. So I'll never forget, I was at Solano State Prison. That's close to Sacramento. And a week before, no, it was like 2 days before I was to go home, I'm on the basketball court. I hadn't been on the basketball court in 7 years of being in prison. And so it was just that nervous energy, anxiety, scared, you know, because I was scared. Because like I say, I was institutionalized my first month incarcerated. So all my friends that was getting out was getting killed or getting life in prison. So that fear was there, like, dang, am I gonna end up like them? They seemed like they was, you know, had their head on straight and they dead or just got life. So that fear was there. You know, I was actually scared to get out. And so back to the basketball court, I was on the basketball court and Cat was going up to shoot the ball, and I slapped the ball out of his hand, and he turned around like he was tough, and I grabbed his neck. This is 2 days before getting out. So all my gang associates grabbed me like, bruh, you about to get out? What you doing? I'm like, man, I don't care about getting to the streets. I don't care about the streets. And that was my verbatim words, is that I didn't care about going to the streets. And I'll never forget that. And, you know, when I look back on it, being institutionalized is just crazy, man. The hardest thing getting out of prison, I would have to say, is support system. You know, luckily for me, I had a support system but most people don't. And even me having a support system, it still wasn't enough. Cause me, I think I classify myself as a addicted person to money. I have an addiction for money, and that's worse than any drug addict. A money addict is worse because a money addict will do anything to get it. You know what I mean? I mean, run in the bank, home invade, whatever. You know, and that's worse than a crackhead or a heroin addict. You know, because they'll just go cash in some cans or, you know, to get a few dollars. But so for me, it was just about getting financially stable. You know, and luckily for me, I'm what you call an exhibitionist. I don't have no do's, don'ts, or won'ts. You know, I go get it. If I got to strip, if I got to pimp, if I got to go work at McDonald's, if I got to whatever, I'm going to go get it. And so most people I notice that get out, they don't have that. They get one track, like I'm going to sell dope. You know what I mean? And or I'm a pimp, or I'm a, you know, do a lot of illegal stuff, but not do legal stuff. And so that was the hardest part for me, of just getting financially stable. You know, and I'm not talking about greedy. I'm talking about to where I could just pay my bills comfortably and have a few dollars left to feed myself, get gas, stuff of that nature. So that, for me, that was the hardest part, and which is tougher now for guys, because even for me, when I got out the last time, I tried to go get a job at a gym, you know, and they first thing they say is, "Are you an ex-con? Have you been convicted of a felony?" And me, I always lied. I always said no. And so once they do that, you know, put your social security number up in there and all that, they go find out anyway. So that was tough, man. It's like, I got this body. I'm a personal trainer. I'm certified. I just went and got the CPR, and I can't get hired. So my neighborhood, where my mother, where I was raised in East Oakland, it was a drug street. And so, you know, everybody know me as big homie, big Khalid, just got out the pen. You know, my little brother was out there slanging at the time. And so, you know, as my money started getting funny, I started looking around. I'm like, who is these weenies out here? Hey, I told my brother, I said, hey, go get me a kilo of that coke, man. I'm going to show y'all how to do it. At this point in my life, I had never sold drugs in my life. Never. And so just by that leader, you know, that thinking you smarter and got the leadership, you know, I was like, man, I'm about to start getting this dope game. So I got in the drug game, and I didn't last 90 days. The police, for some reason, I was already marked as a gang leader that hit the streets. So if you see a big buff motherfucker, at the time I had dreads, and this before everybody started wearing dreads. This was like in 2001 when I first got out. And you know, it was like, I don't know, it was like, man, they had a heat-seeking device, a tracking device up in me or something. Because, man, I didn't get 90 days, and I ended up going back to San Quentin for 10 months. And so did the gang stuff and got out from that again. Went back, same police, after I got out this time. I think I was out about not even 90 days. And I went back at that time for a year. Get out from the year. I did, where was I at that time? Pelican Bay. I went to Pelican Bay that time. So I get out from Pelican Bay and I go to, I do, 16 months. I get out from that and I'm back on the streets. This time I get in the heroin game. And I'm pimping. Swole Pimping was my name. Always tripping, dipping in it, but yeah, don't get me started. And so, yeah, I was doing the pimp things and selling dope, so that didn't last. So, let's see, how long I stayed on the streets that time? About 6-7 months. And I caught a high-speed chase. I had dope on me and a gun in East Oakland. I had to get away from the OPD. And so at this time also I had a lawsuit against the Oakland police, so thought they was trying to kill me because they was killing everybody that had a lawsuit against them. So I had a high-speed chase, got away, but police knew who I was. I was just waiting for the right timing to come get me. So the corrupt police let me stay on the streets 2 months after the high-speed chase, and I ended up going to fight 8 years. And all these times I went back, I was fighting cases. I was drug cases, which drugs was never found, but the police wanted me off the streets, so they just said they seen me directing somebody to somebody. That nonsense. So I also had my last time I had a lawsuit against the Oakland police, but like I say, they was killing people, so I withdrew my lawsuit because it just wasn't worth it. And so after the last time out, I'll never forget this, man. I had never said I was never coming back to prison. My mother came and got me from San Quentin, and I'll never forget it. This was the first time doing this, and I had been to Quentin 3 times before. I looked back, which they always say, never look back for people that's getting out of prison, because if you look back, you'll go back. But I looked back at that motherfucker San Quentin, and I said, I ain't coming back, man. Simple as that. And so right then, at that moment, I knew I wasn't going back. Fortunately, I was able to meet the woman of my life, my wife, and this would really change me. She was the most beautiful person I met in my life, and we just had a spiritual connection. And so my wife now, she was my girlfriend at the time, she said, hey, I'm going to tell you, you go to jail, I'm not doing no writing, not coming to visit you, none of that. Right then, my life changed. She was like, she had been to Los Angeles, and so she's from Oakland as well. She said, we going to Los Angeles. And so I'm like, yeah, let's go. And so I came to Los Angeles. And before I came to Los Angeles, I started bodybuilding. And truthfully, bodybuilding, me being decided to compete in bodybuilding, saved my life. Because before that, I was taking ecstasy, drinking, and even though I was still working, I was still buff. It was just, I was a total different demon. I was demonized, man, when I was in that lifestyle. The gym owner in Oakland, the gym I used to go to, give props to Diego Chairs, Power Alley Gym in Oakland. He said, hey, man, you need to get in bodybuilding and stop messing around. What, you go be buff for nothing? And so I decided to start competing at that moment. Won my first show in Orange County Classic 2009. And from there, I knew I had a gift, because, you don't see too many people do their first show and win first place out of 20 people. So right then, that motivated me to keep bodybuilding. And then me and my wife ended up moving to Los Angeles in 2010. And from there, life just, man, elevated to the utmost. I got into acting. I still competed, won Mr. California. And I just, man, did Geico commercial, Planet Fitness, Old Navy. Life just changed for me. And, now, it's no stopping me. So now, after 7 years out, being in tons of TV shows, movies, ton of commercials, life has just, man, is magnificent, man. So now I started my foundation, Ex-Con to Icon. That's to help troubled youth and ex-cons, to give them hope and give them aspirations to be better in life. I'm also doing a bodybuilding. I just won the Mr. California title 2012. That was a huge accomplishment for me, because I always want to be called Mr. California. And so I also have my book coming out now. It's called Ex-Con to Icon, the Kali Muscle Story. And that's going to be, man, an action-packed book. I'm talking about, I haven't read nothing like it in my life. And I done read novels, action novels, and Iceberg Slim books. And this book is just, man, magnificent. And I'm here to tell you, I done read thousands upon, books. But my focus now, truthfully, is acting. I just did a few commercials, Taco Bell, the Geico, Planet Fitness, and so I just have a love for Hollywood now, man, because they're the only ones that gave me an opportunity to show my artistic side. I could be myself. I could be funny. I don't have to walk around like I got to stick up my butt, mean mugging, and I can just be me. I could be a human being that's trying to succeed in life and just prosper, help others, because that's my thing. Truthfully, I like working with kids. The youth, they just look up to me, respect me to the utmost. Of course, I like helping adults, but adults have a mindset on what they want to do and what they going to do. And so I truthfully like working with the youth. I have a few other programs, Hyphy University, where I'm getting people from around the country to come work out and train with me, stuff like that. And so it's amazing, man. Me and my wife in the process trying to have some kids so we can leave a legacy, have a family. And I just want to say to everybody out there, man, push forward, don't stop. Let the vices go, because that's everybody's problems that's get out. Ex-cons is vices. Leave that. I mean, if it's not benefiting you, if it's not making your body healthy, if you're not prospering financially, leave it alone. And that's my advice to people. In order to make it, I had to cut loose ecstasy. I don't drink. I'm high naturally now just off success. And so you got to cut out them vices. Stay fit, because fitness will keep your mind in sync, your spirit, everything in sync. And let go of all those impurities putting in your body, and you'll make it, man. I did it. I'm here to tell you that it could be done, because I went back 4 times. I didn't just get out, stay out, and I'm here, telling you something that I ain't experienced. And so push, man, and find your niche in life. So this is Kali Muscle, fresh out, life after penitentiary. Ugh!